Hello, everyone. How are we today? Thank you for joining us again. And as you know, we are continuing on this mini-series around sales methodologies and sales trainings. And today, I'm honored to have with me somebody who I've known for quite some time and somebody's methodology that I've used in my careers. I have Darius with me, who is the founder of MEDDIC and MEDDIC Academy. How are you, Darius?
Hi, Greg. I'm doing great. I'm doing even better now that I'm in this session with you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to get back together with you, Darius. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to talk. So, by the way, for those of you who don't know who might be joining for the first time, my name is Greg Armour. I'm the Executive Vice President at Griffin.ai, and Griffin.ai builds sales technology. We build sales tech for sales teams by sales leaders, mainly using AI and ML technology to help guide sellers through conversations and provide them better results when it comes to generating revenue, hitting their quotas, making their numbers, making money, right? Which is what all salespeople like to do. So thank you for joining us today. Darius, again, it's great to have you on. I figured I would just start with a couple of questions that I think the audience would like to better understand about MEDDIC and about you. So, you know, sales methodology is continuing to evolve. It's becoming bigger. It's becoming more utilized, especially in today's day and age, in this digital transformation. How did you get into the sales methodology and sales training business? What brought you into it?
That's a great question. I have a passion for sales. I developed a passion for sales as a process, as a science. I'm a robotics engineer by degree, so I was not destined to become a salesperson at all. Actually, my alumni were saying, "What are you doing? You know, what are you doing going to sales? You're a robotics engineer." And I was actually good, very good in math and so on. So, but what I notice is that sales in technology, high-end sales, enterprise sales, is a process. The customer goes through a series of emotional, psychological, and technical and economic, financial aspects of the sale, and that's how the decision is being made. It's not made unlike many other type of sales, transactional sales or relational type sales, where the sale is done mainly through a good relationship, playing golf, having a good lunch or dinner or champagne. I'm not saying that relations don't count. Of course, we always buy from human beings, but there's something else happening and needs to happen. So I noticed that. And I'm an entrepreneur. I founded 4 companies, all in technology, and I have been practicing MEDDIC since we created it at PTC back in the early 90s. I've been practicing it myself, and 5 years ago, I noticed that it is underdeveloped. It's basically a secret. A lot of people know it. A lot of my ex-colleagues went elsewhere, to Salesforce, to Oracle, to SAP, to other enterprise software and SaaS companies, and MEDDIC is known, but secretly known. And when it is taught inside closed door hotel rooms in an exclusive way, at a very expensive way. It's not accessible. So I founded MEDDIC Academy to make it accessible to all, to a larger number of people, to make it easier to learn, to make it available online, on demand, but also in person, in a blended learning way, not just teaching as a facilitator telling, here's how it works. No, teaching happens. We learn things when it is repeated, but when it is repeated in a fun way and not in a boring way. And that's the essence of blended learning, being exposed through a book, through videos, through workshops, through in-person interactions, through deal reviews, coaching. So we offer all that at MEDDIC Academy, and MEDDIC Academy showed the way, invented this in this type of enterprise sales, and And that's why we're successful.
Absolutely. Excellent. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Our technology that we've been building here at Griffin.ai, we believe heavily in the need for process, methodology, and motion, as do most SaaS sales organizations. And so what we've been able to do is take methodologies like MEDDIC and put it into our technology that allows a seller, as they're having conversations, remember the things that are important for them to get to understand so that they can follow their playbook, uncover the paths that they need, and more importantly, figure out the gaps that they're missing in conversations. And then afterwards, leaders can use it so that they can identify an opportunity and be like, you say this thing's going to close in a couple of weeks. You're missing these 3 letters of MEDDIC. You need to go find those answers, or you're not going to get this opportunity closed. And so we help companies alleviate drift, right? Or pushing of opportunities. So we take everything that you've done and everything that you're talking about, and we've digitized, right? No. And it allows our sellers to become more efficient and effective. How about for you, right? So define your sales methodology for us so that our viewers can understand a little bit more about the definition of MEDDIC and what steps and what processes are involved in MEDDIC. Do you mind taking some time to walk us through that?
Sure, no problem. Of course. MEDDIC or MEDDPICC, which is a more complete way of naming the methodology, starts with an acronym, and the acronym are key elements, are pillars of the methodology. The methodology is not just a checklist of these elements. It's a lot of things, but these pillars help remembering the gaps. You mentioned the gaps that we all see in our opportunities. So it helps you see those gaps. So it's focused on qualification. It's always questioning. That's why the book behind me is titled Always Be Qualifying. But it's not a qualification tool, unlike, let's say, BANT or something like that. It is a methodology which is focused, which focuses on qualification, but it does cover the whole scope from the discovery all the way to the closing and even delivery post sale, because I am a big believer, and we teach that in MEDDIC, that the sale is really and I posted a poll on LinkedIn a few days ago, which is still open, which is, what is according to you a sales rep's goal? Is it taking an order, getting paid, or taking order, getting paid, and also having a positive testimonial, delivery and positive testimonial? One of the elements of metrics is about that, is getting the metrics from the customer of how they have seen the result of what you have sold them in their use. Why it is important for salespeople? Because if you think that way, if you think customer success at the end, as Stephen Covey's book, having the end in mind, the positive success as the end in mind, then you will qualify better. You will be directed into a customer who will necessarily be successful. And of course, you will sell more. And of course, you will have referrals to sell to others, and so on. So, MEDDIC is these elements: metrics, economic buyer, decision criteria, decision process, identifying pain, a champion, and then with MEDDPICC, we have paper process and the competition, in addition to what I just mentioned. And for each of these, in our full process of training that we offer, which is composed of online e-learning, then practice workshops, and then coaching and applying these in the customer's own deals, we go through these elements. In the e-learning, we understand what each of these elements mean. For instance, for a champion, what is the definition of the champion? What are the characteristics of a champion? Why does the champion does what they do? Why do they help us winning? What is behind that? So that's the understanding, which takes a few hours of training, and then we go through exercises in our methods. For instance, we are in a discovery call with 5 prospects from the customer, and people say different things. This is a 1-hour meeting. They present their challenges, and we obviously ask questions, open-ended discovery questions, and maybe we will do some demos, some short demos, maybe not, doesn't really matter. During this 1-hour meeting, what should we be looking at in order to identify a potential champion? What are those flags that we should be seeing, which will tell us, hey, potential champion here, talk to this guy a little bit more after this session, etc. So, here's an example of what we do next once we have identified. Some people think that MEDDIC is, okay, these are the things which are in the account, there's a champion, and you better have a champion, you better talk to the economic buyer, but the how-to, but all the details, and what do I do with the fact that I need a champion? How do I find one? How do I develop one? How do I test one? These are the things which are part of the methodology. And then obviously the third part of what we teach is applying to our own deals, ongoing opportunity. So I sit down in a QBR, I join customers' QBR sessions or end of the year, and we analyze either a past win, won or lost deal, or an ongoing opportunity. And sales rep saying, this guy is the economic buyer. Okay, have we met her? No, the economic buyer never meets with any vendor. Okay. So we get into those tough questions and inspect them together, and I help them together with the leadership at the customer, tips and tricks, how to get there, how to solve those challenges.
Great. Okay, so from the man himself, I'm sure most of my viewers out here are aware. I'm well aware of MEDDIC. Is there one aspect of MEDDIC that has to happen in order for you to get a deal, or is there something that you can't win a deal unless you've uncovered the very important aspect of the MEDDIC process? From the man himself, what do you feel is one of the more important required? They're all required, don't get me wrong, but
yes,
one that stands out more than the other. What would you think it would be?
Right, they are all important, and there is no sequence. This is also something important. It's not a process. It's not a sequence of I need to first have metrics and then go to the, no, they can be done in no order, but there is one which is more important than any other, which is the champion. No champion, no deal. And the reason for that, yeah. And
I love that. No champion, no deal.
Yeah.
Since we're still talking about some of the things that are out there that are different and no champion, no deal, with all the other methodologies that are out there, what makes MEDDIC different than the rest?
That's a great question. First of all, the very first difference, and this is really a difference with any other methodology, is that MEDDIC has been built ground up. Every other methodology has been bottom down. What do you mean by that? Is that every other methodology has been created by a guru or a couple of consultants who have built a consulting group and who have usually done a market study, market research, tested things. Spin was built this way, Miller Hyman, every other methodology, the challenger sale, not MEDDIC. MEDDIC has been collected, first of all, by an observation of how PTC was doing well, what we were doing well. And PTC, for those who don't know, is 40 quarters of consecutive double-digit growth from 0 to 1 billion. during the 90s, at the time that unicorn didn't exist. Or there were not many of those. It became a unicorn and very, very soon. So it's an observation of what is these guys, what are they doing which makes them successful? And we needed it ourselves. Why? Because we wanted to have a faster ramp up for the new hires. So that's and another evidence of MEDDIC being ground up is that the book that you see behind me, which I wrote last year, which was the first book ever written on MEDDIC, was written 25 years later after the creation of MEDDIC. And MEDDIC Academy was founded 5 years ago only. So there is no institution, no academy, nothing formalized. It was the field guys, the doers. It's the methodology of the doers.
Makes sense. Are there any other methodologies out there that are compared frequently to MEDDIC that have some similarities, or some people will say, oh, well, we do this just like MEDDIC?
Yeah, there are some which are closer than others. There are two which come to my mind. Value-based selling is a methodology which is often mentioned because MEDDIC is also value-based by definition. But in my humble opinion, MEDDIC is much larger than just the fact that there is value, because we give tips and tricks on about the champion, the economic buyer, decision criteria, all these aspects which are not as developed, in my humble opinion, again, as in value selling. The other one, but I do really respect and like value selling. I believe in it. I think it's part of MEDDIC. I think they have a lot of overlap. The other one is the challenger sale. I will be less appreciative of it, not as a fact. The observation is perfect, is absolutely true. When I first read the book, I thought it is fabulous. I see that in all my teams, even today. But making it a methodology, thinking that you can teach people in a short period of time that they can become a challenger, is just not realistic. The good thing about MEDDIC is that you bring a new sales rep who is a good sales rep, who doesn't know anything about your industry, doesn't know anything about your product. I promise you, within a quarter or maximum 2 quarters, he or she will be producing quota. No problem. You can't do that with the challenger sale. You cannot bring in someone new to an industry and make them a challenger, a knowledgeable person in the industry. So it's much more restricted.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Along that lines, what about, since there are so many methodologies out there, what would people say about MEDDIC that they would try to debunk, or what type of myth exists surrounding MEDDIC? Have you run into people having said anything around MEDDIC for you?
Yeah, the misconception that I hear from time to time is that, okay, it's just a checklist, like BANT. MEDDIC is just more letters than BANT, well, obviously you wouldn't need these trainings that we do, and customers such as Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Oracle, Salesforce. These are customers that I have personally trained, and they are MEDDIC Academy's customers. If you took the top 10 SaaS vendors, in a way or another, they are using MEDDIC either as a religion or as something which is practiced in a way or another. So if it was just a checklist like that, as a light thing, MEDDIC would not have had the success that it has today. But yes, that's part of the speed of learning of MEDDIC, which is the acronym. It helps learning fast, but it is much more than the acronym.
Understood. Yeah, I completely agree. So because this boom of this digital transformation that's taking place right now, and the need for organizations, companies to give more value to their employees, to help their employees become better sellers, if a sales organization is looking to implement a methodology, why should they select MEDDIC?
I think, well, you mentioned it, the fact that it's the methodology which people are realizing, which is practical, makes sense, and it helps them make deals. Metrics of MEDDIC Academy are amazing. I have a top 5 Fortune 5 companies who declares having reduced by half, divided by 2, the sales cycle after implementing MEDDIC. That's huge. That's a huge company with a huge metrics.
That's enormous.
Small company with an accounting software and tax preparation software, where the headquarters are here in Orange County, California, not far from me. Smaller company with much easier processes. Yesterday, I heard 37% increase in their win rate after 1 year of using MEDDIC. So it doesn't matter where you have, very sophisticated processes and tons of people in sales enablement, or just a small company with 20 or 30 salespeople, it works the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that you bring up some really important points, right? If I look at being in the sales enablement space, you talked about 2 very important things. You're shortening a sales cycle, you're increasing close ratios, right? And not only that, you do not have to be a steward or a master of your craft on the technology in order to be successful in selling sooner rather than later. So in essence, you can ramp a sales rep faster by leveraging MEDDIC. I agree with all those things. It's why we build the technology that we build currently, right? We allow sales teams to ramp themselves faster because they can learn and e-learn at a faster pace. They can listen to and observe good sales calls versus bad sales calls. And then more importantly, that they can, while they're on their own sales call, have help and training and guidance from a live sales assistant that's analyzing the conversation, knows what's good to say, and then giving that information back, tied into the methodology that you use as a company. Ours happens to be MEDDIC.
What you're doing is, Greg, and you know it. I just repeat it as someone external who is not paid for that, so your audience can reflect on that. Is the future? Is the future in what sense? I mentioned blended learning earlier. I mentioned the fact that we're successful, much more successful than other sales training companies, because we brought new modern techniques inside the older methodologies, this blended learning, on demand, online and in person, learning the foundation, practicing, and then coaching, doing it on your cases. These are all necessary. What you are doing is automating this coaching part. What people need to understand is that if we were teaching sales methodologies like we were doing 20 years ago, and there are still today some people who do it that way, the sales reps are exciting during the session, and just days later, it's gone. They forget it. So it has to be repeated. The content needs to be available and accessible to go back to it in a modern way, like videos, like bite-sized courses, but also coaching. Now, coaching is done with managers. So we also train managers, obviously. We train also trainers. So we have a full program there, but it's also very helpful to have tools and technology which helps you coaching salespeople constantly, because this is the key to success. Can you imagine a sportive? Can you imagine a soccer player not being coached one single day? They may have only a match 2 weeks from now. They may have the World Soccer only 2 years from now, but they are coaching and getting trained by a coach every single day. Same thing in sales.
Yeah, I agree. I always tell people something near and dear to me, which is I don't play a professional sport. I don't play soccer or football, right? I don't even play professional golf. I'd love to, but I don't, right? I chose to be a sales professional, and I take that profession very seriously. I expect to be the Tom Brady, of sales and of sales technology. And the great thing about it is technology is now evolving to catch up with an archaic industry like sales. Sales is the only industry out there, if you think about it, that doesn't require you to test in, right? You don't need extracurricular learning. Anybody can say they want to be in sales, right? They don't need to, an engineer needs to test in to be an engineer. An accountant needs to test in to be an accountant. A lawyer needs to test in to be a lawyer. A doctor needs to test in to be a doctor. You get it, right? On and on and on. Sales, anybody can get into it. So if you get some good people who have some great drive and you can leverage technology that utilizes methodologies like MEDDIC, right? You can now advance somebody's professional career at a higher scale, making them more efficient, effective, and truly becoming, the best player that they can in their profession. And Darius, I always enjoy our conversations. I've known you for many, many years now. I thank you very much for joining us today and walking us through MEDDIC and the nuggets that you can continue to provide is always successful. Everybody, if you need to get a hold of Darius, his information was on the screen when we first started. I know that he will personally respond to you. And if you need to get a hold of me, my information is always there. And keep in mind that these methodologies and MEDDIC as a methodology are being utilized by some of the largest companies in the world. And if you power them with technology, you just further enhance the expertise and efficiency and effectiveness that is being utilized by taking on something like a MEDDIC.
It was a pleasure chatting with you as usual, Greg. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Darius. It was great seeing you. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to our next session. Have a good one. Thanks, Darius.
Thank you. Bye-bye.